So I will be utilizing this cheat sheet throughout my internship application process and the interviews. It will be utilized during my actual internship. I will definitely be carrying it around in my back pocket and pulling it out when I need to reference the different age groups and kind of look over things. And as time goes on, this will all become second nature, I feel. It already kind of is, but I know that keeping it for assistance will be really super helpful in those times of big stress. My biggest struggle was identifying stressors for each age group. I had to dig deep within my practicum experiences and the notes that I had to really realize the stressors that of the different age groups. And I think this area will become easier as I'm in the field with the different age groups and the stressors. So I chose the infant age group as the group I was least comfortable with. They are going through the sensory motor stage where they're trying to learn about the world around them through exploration. And they're also going through the trust versus mistrust, where if their basic needs aren't met, mistrust can become an issue. Whereas if caregivers respond quickly to their cries and give them great care consistently, then they will develop trust that others will be there to help them. The biggest stressors for infants are issues with attachment. With the separation from parents and infants can have difficulty developing healthy attachment to those caregivers. They also have multiple caregivers in the hospital, and having inconsistent different caregivers can cause difficulty developing those attachments as well. They're not used to these different faces all the time, different voices and all of that. Different styles of care. Children can begin to withdraw from the caregivers because they don't understand why their needs aren't being met by them, and why they aren't there to fulfill that trusting relationship. There's a big increase in painful experiences, and I thought a lot about Harlow's attachment theory here. In Harlow's experiment, he used monkeys, and he had them with some fake monkeys. One was soft and one was wire, and they both provided nourishment. And a lot of times the monkeys would go, or most of the time, the monkeys would go to the wire monkey if they had to for nourishment, but then for comfort, they would go for the soft monkey. And they definitely preferred to get their nourishment and comfort from that soft monkey, showing that children gravitate towards comfort over pain and discomfort. And when a child is experiencing constant pain and discomfort from the nurses, it can be difficult to bond with them as a caregiver because they're expecting pain whenever they see those nurses. The overstimulation of the hospital environment is something that I've seen firsthand a lot in the PICU. It's filled with so many noises and lights and different people coming in and out of the room. And this overstimulation can be detrimental to the child's development. They may withdraw, they can have issues with focus and developing self-soothing behaviors and have difficulty sleeping. And the loss of routine with infants. Infants really thrive on routine, having that 10 a.m. nap every day and eating certain intervals and things like that. And in the hospital, that's really tampered with. Why do I personally struggle with this age group? I really interact with infants quite a bit, but I've always really had difficulty because I've dealt with a lot of infants who develop separation anxiety, and they really, really don't like being taken away by that primary caregiver. And so that attachment piece really makes it difficult to help them because they're so thoroughly attached to that primary caregiver that they might not take comfort from me. And soothing an infant is really, really difficult. I think across the board, an infant crying is like one of the worst noises in the world. And when you can't get it to stop, it's really, really frustrating, and they can't communicate with you what their needs are. And I find that really, really difficult. And then the parental support piece. I am really great with kids, but I'm not always wonderful at talking to adults. I'm not always as great at comforting adults and working with them as well. And that's something I'm definitely working on and trying to get more used to, because I know as a child life specialist, I'm not just helping the patient, I am helping the family as well. The intervention that I chose would be to develop a schedule. I think that the loss of routine and multiple caregivers is really, really stressful for patients in the hospital, especially infants. They're used to a certain way of things, and not only is their primary caregiver gone for most of the time, usually, they also don't have that routine that they're so used to. So something that I've seen utilized a lot in the PICU, where patients' parents cannot be bedside very often because they're there for lengthy stays, is developing a schedule for infant care. We often see them printed out very nicely and put on the front door, or put on the door of the patient's room. And it'll say things like, morning, I wake up usually around 8. Please do not enter my room between the hours of 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. because that's when I get my best sleep, and things like that. It will have little notes of communication from both the primary caregiver and the nursing staff and the child life specialist, who is usually the one who develops that. They block the day out, and they fill in things like music therapy, PT, OT, early intervention, child life specialists working with the child, volunteers coming in and working with the child, when their primary nap time is, when they usually get fed, so that, nurses and doctors can kind of work their care in as best to that schedule as whenever possible, so that, usually Sally has a nap at 10 a.m. We're not going to go in and do a procedure at 10:15. We're going to let her sleep and plan the procedure for a different time when it's better for her. That way she gets used to that continuity of care. She gets used to knowing which caregivers come at what time, and everyone is educated on when parents come and when is best for the baby to do certain things. And that can just really help. Infants can't communicate, so we have to kind of communicate for them sometimes. I really think this is a vital thing. Like I said, infants really grow with a schedule and a routine. They grow to know it just as well as their parents do. And they expect that nap. They expect that to be fed at a certain time, and they grow with that routine. So using a schedule for infant care, I highly suggest it. It's also really great for involving different aspects of the team, keeping everyone understanding what's happening with the child. Oh, I see this morning, PT came in to see you at 9 and worked with you for 45 minutes. So maybe I'll come in the afternoon so you can rest a little bit. Things like that are really, really helpful. And yeah. Oh my gosh, it's a long ass video.